Hey guys, Justin, Brock, and Steven Martinez here with the Insurance Gurus podcast. Back at it again with another stud that is paving the way. Justin, which is a great first name, by the way, Vom Eigen, is a senior market guy, man. We were going to talk about Medicare. We was like, hey, we just got to get you on here and interview, talk about your progress so far. Seen him doing a lot of great things in the life insurance world. And I just know it's only a matter of time before he's joining us over here on the Medicare side. So, but, you know, the senior market is we're all talking to the same people. And so he has a ton of insight from what, you know, that side looks like because they're seeing some explosive growth. So, Justin, thank you for being here, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you guys having me on here. It's pretty cool and impromptu. It's cool to see Justin crushing it. You know, it's
That's right.
And I really look up to you too, man. You know,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, it
comes with the name, right?
It's hard. It's a hard world for Justins. You know, people don't understand. There's Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake. You know,
Just in time,
Just Insurance, which is a domain you have, I think. So
yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. I've been following you. I know you're doing a ton on the final expense side, final expense telesales. I know you have a close relationship, I believe, with a guy we interviewed the other day, Mr. Whitley, who spoke very highly of you. And, I would love to, figure out like what got you into the insurance world. And I'm going to probably ask you some fitness questions just because you look too good not to ask fitness. There's not a lot of insurance agents that can stay as in shape as you. But I'm gonna cut that out because I know you get asked about that all the time, and I'm gonna save that for a minute. First, just want to know what got you into the insurance industry, man.
I sold cars, and I realized that I didn't want to live at the dealership for the rest of my life. I didn't meet many car salesmen who were in their 50s who were happy, but I did meet insurance agents who were in their 50s who were pretty happy. So I was like, okay, that's kind of a direction that I want to take my life, right? That person has what I want, financial freedom, success, and then I want to take that path. So I had a guy who came and bought a car for me. He was like, dude, I think you do really well with life insurance. He said, I work for AAL. You don't want to work for them. But yeah. He said, I'm gonna give you referred to another company. So I went and I started with New York Life, and it didn't work out with them initially. I found a lot of people I talked to who they kind of bounced around a couple of places till they found their home in their niche. But that's how I got into it. I was selling cars, and I wanted something with some longer term growth potential, and so I got into insurance.
Yeah, so tons of car salesmen out there too that would make great insurance agents.
Glad he figured enough out that he told you go with a different company.
Yeah. Yeah, so you know what? We were talking to somebody the other day, and they said that they got into the insurance. I think it was Sam Wolf, maybe, or somebody that said they were. It wasn't Sam. It was somebody that they hung out. They played a lot of golf, like in high school, and he said every Friday when he'd be out playing golf as a teenager, all the like working age men that were out there were insurance agents, and so he initially got into it because I can't remember who it was, because he wanted to play golf all the time. And he's like, that's an occupation where I can make good money and play golf all the time. And he said once he got into it, he fell in love with insurance. And now he never plays golf. He just works all the time. So, it's, insurance for me, in sales in general, the people that are, I think, really successful turn it into a game. We gamify it. And so it's like, it gets to the point where, I have X income goal. And then you get past that because it's like, but it's so easy to keep scaling. Why not scale? And it's like playing Galaga and trying to get the highest score.
You'll never get to 100,000. Just say I'm good.
Yeah, no, I got 100,000 points on Galaga. I'm never playing again. That you don't do that, and you don't do that. And most people that are really successful find it difficult to just stop because they hit X goal. And so you're not stopping. You're scaling. Tell us what you're doing now, and why you did land on that. You said you meet some people. Takes some time before they figure out where they want to land, what they want to do. And you've kind of landed in an arena where you're doing a lot of, I believe, final expense telesales.
Correct. Yeah.
What about that have you enjoyed?
just the growth. I mean, like you said, it's a vertical that you can just keep going up in. I was always big, and I like how you said gamify it, because it's funny. I still play video games that'll never die, and there are games I catch myself, and I was in reflection. I realized this: games that have an end, like a finite end, I will always stop right before the end, because I didn't want to actually beat it, because it meant I had nothing left to play.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then like in insurance, I've turned it into a game for myself where I can just keep growing and growing and growing. And once I hit a goal, I immediately set a new one. I usually set a new goal before I even hit that initial one, because it'll just keep me pushing through it. But I like what you said there. And it's just been scaling and growing. And what I've learned, and it's really, really cool to learn this stuff along the way. I think when people get into insurance, I want to scale my sales team, right? I want to get better at sales. And how do I scale the solopreneur aspect of it? And then as they grow, it's, hey, I want to grow a sales team now. Mm-hmm. And I'm at the point where I'm tapped out for how many agents I have for myself. So now it's taking the turn where, in order for me to beat the game, I have to build sales teams now.
Yeah.
So it went from me learning the sales to me building a sales team to now I have to help others build their sales teams. Yeah. And it's kind of taken that turn. So that's like kind of where I don't know if I got off the question, but that's kind of where I am now for the game.
You answered it because you're gamifying it. You are doing it, and that's in it. It is a scalable model. Sometimes when you're in like when you go into New York Life Environment or Modern Woodman of America, or some of these kind of career models of like the advisory role, that's for some people. I think we were talking to the guy, Steve Acosta. He was a professional fighter, and he started off in financial services. We were interviewing him the other day, and he was talking about how he wanted to go to like Wall Street and be like this, call center style, like Wolf of Wall Street kind of concept. Not in a rip-off way, but like in a way of actually, just being in that environment. And then he ended up after a little while in this advisory role. And he said, first thing he said was, it was about helping people, and I just wasn't into that. And then he goes, I mean, I don't mind helping people. He's like, I didn't like this advisory role. And I think the problem is that there is no, that role is great for some people, but for some people they want to be able to scale it. And so final expense, the way we're doing Medicare, like it's taking a niche and scaling that niche, rather than trying to create like this, advisory shop, which can also be very profitable. It's just a different concept, takes a different, mental state. And the gamifying, we get looked at a lot because Stephen made us like scoreboards and stuff, so we can like real time our agents are tracking themselves and competing with one another. And each individual agent we hire seems to be, at least some of them, especially the top performers, really enjoy competing for that top spot.
I mean, that started when there was just a few of us selling, and we had the whiteboard mapped out, and we were going and writing our numbers up there every day just to create that competition. Nobody wants to go up there and write a zero at the end of the day. And so I was like, wow, I could take this to a whole new level. And so I've turned that into a whole,
interactive spreadsheet.
Yeah, whole leaderboard that, we have in both office all the time displaying. But again, it turns on that gamification. It turns on that competition with inside you. Everybody wants to be at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah. Nobody plays, Pac-Man to not try to scale the top 10. It's
to not win.
Yeah, it's friendly. It's like it's not like I'm gonna kill myself if I don't win, but the goal is to do well. So in final expense, I do think it's probably would be one of the faster. I'm sure it comes with tons of challenges too, and it doesn't have the residual trail like Medicare. But on the front end, it allows you the ability to push money into it and pull it back out faster so that you can scale. And so I actually, one of the call centers we consult scaled pretty quickly in final expense initially before they pivoted into Medicare, just to get their team built up and their system around final expense because it was the fastest way to get their investment back. In the long term, they decided they're going to make more money in Medicare, but they had to build their infrastructure around final expense to allow them to really start going. So, in the final expense market, it's definitely impacted by some of the same budget constraints that we see on the Medicare side. And I think we run into overlapping people. We do have some higher income clients, but we have some really low income clients, and we have some right there in the lower middle. I think our average is kind of the lower middle blue collar. They worked in a factory for 30 or 40 years. Maybe they saved $100,000, $150,000, but maybe $250,000. But they're living off that and their Social Security checks for the rest of their life. So it's tight. And recently, Medicare announced the largest premium increase ever. I don't know if it was ever.
14.54%.
14.5%. It was the highest dollar increase ever. And it was the highest percentage increase since like 1972 or 80. Anyway, a long time. I don't want to sound stupid, but whatever. There are plenty of people that are smarter than me, but they're not producing content, so whatever. So, Justin, have you heard anybody in your talks on the final expense side complaining from a budget standpoint about these increases? Yeah,
it's in the argument there. It kind of has a weird basis to it because most of it comes around with like, I don't know what my finances are going to look like in January. And a lot of that too, I think because COLA, cost of living adjustment, I think that's what it stands for, is a 5.9% increase. So like if the Medicare goes up, it's $21.60, I think, is that how much it jumped? Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. 14.5 on 148.50. So I think it's going to 170 something. So you're probably right on there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it if say they make $1,000 a month and the cost of living adjustments 5.9%, then they're getting a $59 a month bump on their Social Security, which is more than the premium for Medicare. It's kind of like a mixed bag. I think a lot of it's like just an excuse that people will use to put it off because they're professional procrastinators and they'll put that off for like as long as they need to before they're like, crap, I'm gonna get sick soon.
Yeah.
So I found that a lot of people who are talking about it, either they're super low income and it's gonna really, really impact them, or they're just not sure exactly what their finances are gonna look like at that time. So, but as well, the deductible increased $30, I think, for Part B. And then there's some other co-insurance, I believe, or some other costs for Part A, I think, that had changed. Yeah. So it's really individual. Like you're going to see people who are more sick probably having a bigger, it's going to hit them bigger than people who aren't as sick. Probably.
I'm going to butcher this from a statistical standpoint, but I believe 90% of people are on Social Security are going to come out actually better, because the 5.9% increase is going to be good. There's 10%, and most of them I read are drawing a spousal benefit. So like people that are only getting, they didn't work their full 40 quarters, but they're drawing a Social Security benefit off their spouse's eligibility. So maybe they're getting $500 a month. Their 5.9% increase doesn't outweigh the 14.5% increase on the Part B premium, but it's still not a huge margin issue for them. But the majority of people that we talk to, they're drawing their $1,200 plus a month, $1,100 plus a month, $1,200. You might see, and then on the high end, we're seeing the guys drawing $2,200, $2,300. Anybody in $1,000 plus is going to come out better, because even on the Part B deductible, you're talking about $30 a year. So,
exactly.
And most of those, a lot of these people are on Advantage plans. And so their Advantage plan cost sharing factors really didn't change. They was just all absorbed by the plan. The plan might end up. I don't even think the plan's impacted much at all, really. So the plans for 2022 came out before they knew what those increases are going to be, and I just don't think it affected them because their funding stayed the same. So when you're talking to people about final expense, my advice is to and this is to hear what they're saying, understand, agree with them. Yeah, this sucks. That's stupid. And then kind of the way I do is like loop it back to, they finally gave a substantial Social Security increase, and then they take a big chunk of it away with this Part B premium increase. It's stupid. It's always a sleight of hand. They can't give anything without taking away. But, thankfully this year, that 5.9% increase averages to X amount, and I would just use like a $1,700 Social Security increase on 5.9% and say, it's averaging to this, whereas the Part B premium is only going up $20-something. And then that way you can offset it and kind of pivot while agreeing with them, agreeing it's bullshit. We always want. I mean, of course, I want them to get a 5 point. Still
reminding them that they have more money.
Yeah, it's like agreeing with them that it's horse shit, but then reminding them that they're actually coming out better because they don't. Yeah. Sometimes they don't know. Other times, I think they're convincing themselves that they're not coming out better. So,
no, yeah, it's true. I mean, and look at like a lot of the crowd that I talk to. I call them and we call them, and you hear the news in the background, and they're all fired up about something. So it's usually like, what can we focus on? That's kind of like a negative part of it.
Yeah.
Really, what I think the biggest impact of it will be is just another reason to like have any excuse to kind of put it off, and maybe uncovering the real reason behind what that may be covering up.
I'm going to tell you something that Medicare Bob told me last night on a call. He called me at like 9:30. He still had his guys there. It's AEP ends today, right? So his guys were at the office until 11 last night.
Wow.
And he bought like bottles of Knob Creek and Woodford Reserve and bought pizza for everybody.
Stayed here all night, guys.
Like we're staying, and this is like AmeriLife's call center. So, and he calls me and he was, boasting about some of the numbers, because you can only, like, I brag online a little bit because I'm gamifying. I'm trying to get people to, help pump me up. Other people get kind of shut down by it, but he calls me to brag and we brag and it makes us feel better. But he told me, and I love this, every call you have, this is what he tells those agents, every call you have, a sell is made.
Yeah.
Either you sold them a policy or they sold you on why they're not getting it.
That's good.
So every call, a sell is made.
That's good.
What's the sell going to be? And then obviously you can get hung up on and all that kind of stuff. But, when he's looking at deadline Medicare Advantage, like there's such a high conversion ratio on those that typically, that it's not 100% true, but it's 85% true, that you're either going to sell that policy or they're going to sell you on why they're not getting it. So
sell or be sold.
Sell or be sold. There it is.
That's right.
So no, but so on the same thing I said I wasn't going to bring up initially, dude. You're posting all these pictures like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of insurance, and
showing off these massive gains.
I'm like something's got to give. Like I'm trying to be in shape. I'm trying to be healthy. Do you have no social life, or what are you giving up?
Jeez, I mean, not really. It's funny. I had a guy at my gym, and one day he was talking to me, and he was like, this guy came up to me, and he was talking to me about working out. And it was just some random dude I started talking to, and he's like, and he had like the body of an insurance agent. And I was like, oh, I sell insurance. He was like, that was the worst thing I could have picked as a reference for this time. Because he said, like, it was so funny. But no, I've been doing it for a while. It's just like insurance. I made it into a game for me.
Yeah.
So for a while, like that was one of my games. I've always been like obsessive with things, and I used to fight it, but now I kind of just embrace it. Yeah. So it was really learning. I think in that arena, there's a lot of wrong data, and there's a lot of stuff that gets a lot of flash, a lot of stuff that looks cool, but doesn't actually like work that well. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of misinformation out there about, especially for men, like what it takes to build muscle and be lean. A lot of guys think you got to go to the gym 5-6 days a week. I actually had the most muscle growth when I worked out 2 days a week, but made sure that I had a lot of food. because a lot of people don't have the same muscle recovery as some of those people you see on Instagram who are doing like the 500 rep workouts or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Instagram has polluted the fitness world with these like BS like exercises that don't really do anything. They just look cool. And it's like a variation of a variation of a variation that just doesn't really need to be done. I mean, our bodies are built to move things and apply effort in a direction. The physics of it, effort is force applied over a distance. So work, I mean, it's force over distance. So they're meant to work in a certain way. If you stick to compound multi-joint exercises like squats, deadlifts, bench press, rows with the bar, they're going to release the most testosterone too. So like if you do those with heavier weights and you keep it super simple, like if you have a one day, if you go for like 2 or 3 days a week, divide it up so that you only have to do like 2 or 3 sets too, maybe like two sets, 3 sets. And the most important thing is not how much you're doing, but it's like making progress. So as long as you're progressing every week, that's what you want to track. Yeah. Tracking the workouts is important to the degree that you're tracking your progress. So if you find yourself doing something and you're stuck somewhere, it's just because there's something that you don't know that you haven't applied yet. So with like muscle growth, if a guy wanted to be lean, I talk to some people like, oh dude, I just want to get like ripped, and everybody, I feel like a lot of guys want to get lean and they're like, I don't want to get bulky. I want to be lean. But you can't really be lean and look lean without having some muscle too, without having some muscle mass. So you have to kind of grow the muscle mass, and eating a lot of food, if you're working out the right way, is going to go towards building that muscle mass. You're going to have a body composition change. So the biggest thing is diet. Like it's about 70% what you eat and like 30% what you do at the gym. Like that's really what it is. It's like this, like with like insurance, right? It's like what really counts is like sitting there and grinding out calls all day or putting in that ton of activity. That is kind of like the diet thing because it's an all day thing.
Yeah. And then the training, so, like actually training and honing your craft is a small portion. It's relevant, but if I'm doing 20 or 30% training and 70% making contacts.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I tell my guys all the time, it's like number one thing is activity and making calls. But yeah. So a couple of things you said there I want to unpack. Be obsessed or be average. We have to give another homage. You said sell or be sold earlier, but Grant Cardone's book, Be Obsessed or Be Average, is my favorite. It's my favorite book he did. Anybody hasn't read it, 10X is good. He's got good books. He has a good kick me in the nuts kind of strategy for motivation that I respond to personally. But
me too.
But be obsessed or be average is what he talked about. Like you have to embrace it. So many people are trying to tell you like, oh, you need to slow down and spend time with your kids. You do that. Like, bitch, I'm going to spend time with my kids and do all the other shit. Like, you're putting me in a box. I'm not in your box. So calm down. Yeah. So I respond to that, and that's embracing being obsessed is okay. Just make it obsession with the right things. There's plenty of people that are obsessed with terrible things that get less flack about it than some of us workaholics.
I know, and I think it happens too when people are younger. Like I think a lot of, at least I think it may have happened with me when I was younger. Like I was always obsessed with things.
Yeah,
and I think that like when someone's obsessions are like try to be pushed and moved around.
Yeah. Like
I think sometimes people can progress. It's very easy for someone like myself to start being obsessed with destructive things in my life too.
Yeah.
Like things that aren't good for me. Yeah. So I got to always check up here. Hey, are you obsessed with something that's helping you grow or that's a bad thing? So it can kind of work both ways.
Well, like my brother, like some people have been following Johnny, and Johnny's my my little brother who's made I don't say recovery, but he was just kind of a
lost soul.
He was just in a lifestyle of like when I would talk to him about all the things I was doing early on, he was super disinterested, or he would kind of put it on that front, like he's disinterested. It's like I just want to have a good time, I want to do this. When we finally got him to start selling insurance and he became obsessed with that dopamine reward from a sale, so many of the destructive things and the destructive relationships he had have fallen by the wayside because they're getting in the way of the new dopamine that is rewarding. And it's also rewarding because it's not, you know, it's like, and people are actually proud of what I'm doing. But sometimes, like for me, you know, thankfully I never had some crazy misstep early on. I was probably like, didn't know what I wanted to do until I got into insurance, and I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to scale this. But when we got into insurance, people, you know, tell me that, like, you need to, you got to take it easy. You got like, I put up something last night, like we're, you know, 13 years of continued growth at our current growth rate, we'll be at $1 billion.
Yeah, that's awesome.
$1 billion in revenue, right? I had people in the comments like, yeah, well, you need to, you know, make sure, slow down. I'm like, you guys don't get it. Like, if I slow down, I'm not going to be a great father or husband because I'm going to be miserable myself.
Yeah.
And that's not, like, that doesn't translate. So everybody has to understand, people have different mindsets. But
you can crush it in all aspects of your life. You don't have to be just good at one.
Right.
You know?
And that's the thing, when you pull it back to physical, you know, a lot of us, I think, you know, get a little bit of a cop-out. I love what you said. So I think I'm going to make this is my commitment because I've been struggling with this. I've been doing like some home workouts. My wife's making me walk a lot, and it's like I don't eat like terrible or anything like that. But my commitment I'm going to make, because you made me think this is okay, is to do 2 gym visits a week.
2 a week,
and do multiple compound exercises like flat bench and deadlifts and
well, think about it like this, right? So like if someone can go and they can do, like if you progress on your bench press, like if you get up to doing 300 pounds for 10 reps, you're going to have muscle. Like it's just, there's no way around. There's no one who does that, who works up to that, who doesn't have a stable foundation. So like, who cares how you get there?
Yeah.
Right.
And 2 days is easier for me to commit to initially.
Yeah.
To say, okay, I'm going to, every Tuesday and Thursday, I'm going to go to the gym, or every Tuesday and, or every Monday and Thursday, whatever. And then once my family and my work and everything gets used to, I'm committing that amount of time to those days. Then maybe if I decided, hey, man, I do want to do 3 days. Well, then I'm adding one more day rather than from the get-go. What most people act like you got to go 5 days a week. It's very difficult for me to go from
start working out. I'm going 6 days a week.
Yeah, it's very difficult for me to say, okay, I'm going to go from doing doing dumbbell exercises in my bathroom and walking 2 miles every day with my wife to, you know, also going, because she's not going to let me stop doing the walks. I have to do that with her. So, which is good. I mean, I enjoy that too. There's multiple benefits to that. We get to actually talk without our kids around for, you know, 30 minutes. So, but anyway, like that's a good goal. And so I've been struggling with this because, you know, I got the damn gym membership. I'm not going in there enough. So I need
you heard
2
it, guys.
days a week.
We're going to hold Justin to that.
2 days a week.
2 days a week.
I'm going to lift heavy weight, low rep. I'm going in there and I'm doing, because I actually, somebody else told me a long time ago, I've always thought this body type is definitely a part of this equation, but I had a friend in the Marine Corps. He was actually a corpsman, and he was a power lifter, and he would go in, all he would do is flat bench, deadlift, and squats. I mean, he might have done some rows or something. He might have done some walking, but very low cardio, just big weight, you know, he gets strong. And when he would really work, I remember him going from flabby big to ripped, doing zero cardio, doing zero like high repetition exercises, just lifting heavy weights and eating. And he drank a shitload of milk. I know that.
Lots of milk.
Shitload of milk. That dude would drink like he would have like those pepper size cups. He would drink a whole cup of whole milk right before bed. Now, he may, you know, maybe I should not try that right away, but he was lifting some pretty damn heavy weight too. He was doing it's the casein protein, but I looked it up the other day, and The Rock eats a bunch of casein protein right before bed too.
Yeah, I would. I'd look like I can send you some like what to do for a workout. I would just do like if you go like Monday, Thursday, I would do bench press and squat, maybe incline bench, because flat bench can have a lot of shoulder issues. Bench press, squats, and then like a high rep tricep exercise for like 20 reps. That's it. Yeah. 2 sets of squats, and then and you can, I mean, in bench, you can switch up the volume too. So like if you go heavy on squats one week, go a little bit higher rep the next week, because there's different muscle fiber types. But yeah, that's really all you need to progress. Like when I graduated high school, I was like 5'5" and like 110 pounds. I was like, now I'm like 6 feet, 225. So like I grew a lot my first semester in college, but I would like, I still had that like very thin frame. Like if I stopped lifting for a year and didn't eat a lot, I have a very, very thin frame. I don't have above average muscle recovery. One thing that a guy told me that helped a lot is just stimulate the muscle tissue. Don't try to annihilate it. So you just want to stimulate it for growth so that you can be better the next time you go in. Not like I'm going to sit here and just pulverize this muscle until it's non-functioning anymore. So it's a point of no return there too. So
yeah. One time I listened to a CT Fletcher video when I was in the Marine Corps, and I decided I was gonna do biceps every day, because he said you can do arms every day. And eventually, I don't know what I did, but I just jacked my elbow joint, some tendon in here up. So then I couldn't do like any arm exercises for like 3 weeks because I messed it up. And I was like, okay, CT Fletcher can do arms every day. I cannot do that every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone's different, man.
Another thing I like that you said was that how there's a lot of these variations of exercises that you see on all the social media, right? And like you said, Instagram's probably the biggest one, for that. But because I see that, and I'm like, there's no way that's doing anything. And the one tiny muscle group that is hitting, probably don't need it anyways. And most of them are like the girls doing these butt exercises.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking that the kickback with the cable.
Yeah, I know.
And the same principles apply.
My wife will see that on there, and she'll be in the bathroom in the morning doing the like rear butt, kick, and I'm like, baby, like just go do some squats. She's like, I don't want to get bulky. I'm like, you don't skip like perfect shape to bulky. Like you don't. It doesn't happen.
Yeah. Plus, women, they just don't have the hormones to get bulky. Like it's just, that's just. And my fiance was saying that to me before she started going to, what I found, I would say, hey, because if you suggest, I wanted to work out with me. I mean, she was in good shape, but it wasn't like, it's hard to tell a woman, hey,
you need to
work out. Want to work out? That's just like not the right way to do it.
She won't be your girlfriend
so
anymore.
What I did is, I'd be like, babe, are you sneaking to the gym without me? I'm like, I don't know. You just look like you're working out. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And I did that for like a few weeks, and then she started coming to me. So
sneaky.
But same thing. She's like, I don't want to be bulky. I'm like, babe, you're not gonna.
You're such a salesman. So no, that's why salesmen have such decent, good-looking wives, because we can sell ourselves. So no, well, hey, I appreciate you being here, buddy. We're
Thanks,
gonna
man.
we want to get different perspectives out to the audience, and anybody that's looking to reach out to you to work with you, anything. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
You can just send me a text message. So it's 774-606-6847. That's 774-606-6847. I'm really, if anybody has any questions about recruiting for final expense or building and coaching a remote sales team, since 80% of my agents are at home, a really good system on how to train people at home, how to give them the assistance to get going quickly, how to keep them connected so they don't get checked out mentally, emotionally, how to have systems to monitor their calls, be able to jump in on their calls, make sure that they're training and keeping themselves accountable, and also different tools to make sure you're hiring the right people, because you have to have the right person to work at home selling life insurance over the phone, because it's hard enough to do it out in the field face to face, never mind at home when someone can just click on you and hang up. So.
It's so easy to take the lazy road. Even when I was out in the field running down direct mail leads, it was so easy to be like, man, I'm just I got 2 sales this week. I really just want to go eat Mexican food. I'm in this small town, and there's this restaurant. I can just kind of like it's so easy to like coast and have the people don't understand that, to have the discipline just to do what you're supposed to do when nobody else is holding you to it. So
exactly.
So
those are the people who stick out too. By the way, anybody building a team here, the people that you want to look to promote into management positions are the people who do what they should without you having to tell them how to do it. Or tell them to do it. The people that you want to look for that as you grow in skill, from what I've seen, are people who like you don't have to check in on. You just see like, oh, that person's on the phone cranking like every day. They show up every day. They're being consistent. Like that's the biggest thing. So when you look and you want to make mistake I made too is sometimes the people that aren't doing that are the ones that can get your attention or got my attention as I was building. Because I'm like, man, I want to build these people up. So I've had a shift recently where it was like, you know what, I just got to put the time and attention in the people who are putting the time and attention in to attract that. I don't know if you guys ever had run into that, but I tend to sometimes care and want it more than other people. And I try to be like the insurance savior, and give everyone a chance. But unfortunately, insurance sales is not an equal opportunity position all the time. So, in the sense where it's really hard, it's very selective.
Yeah, I've been in that position where I've talked to agents and I've wanted it more for them than they want it for themselves.
Yeah.
And
that's the only draining thing I've ever been.
You have to pull yourself back because it's like.
Probably more times than not, you want it more than they do for them because you understand it because you've been a little bit on the other side. And you're just like, man, if I could just drag you across the finish line, maybe you'd understand what it's like over here. But, and some of those people that don't work out like that can still make good like admin employees and things. So,
for sure.
Always when when you're building, if you're building a business and you hire somebody and we're like, man, they're not exactly like me. That doesn't mean they won't have some kind of role and could fit. So always people are a huge resource. So, once you have them, committed to your team, try to figure out a way that they can add enough value to justify being there. It's not always going to work out, but it's just a lesson we learned along the way, like where we had somebody that was in a sales position and maybe we removed them from our business completely because of not being great at that. And then later on, almost, regretting it because you're like, man, I could have kept them as like an office manager and they'd have been awesome at that because they had so much info in their head. And it takes so long after you've poured info into somebody's head to rebuild that asset into another human. So, did we lose our internet connection? Bet we did.
Well, appreciate you guys tuning in today.
It's reconnecting. Oh, man, that's so annoying.
We're good. We'll end it with the audio.
It's reconnecting. I just wanted to see if it'll. I wanted to see. Oh, here you go, Sid. That's where we started stumbling.
It's like a Zoom just messed up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, our internet service bombed out, and so the rest of this is in black. Please subscribe and leave us a review. We are trying to put out tons and tons of content and help you guys stay motivated along the way. If you guys are wanting to get in touch with Justin von Eigem, it's Justin VOMEIG. Let me make sure I spelled this right.
He gave out a cell phone number, but you can also
VOMEIGEN. And I believe he has a new YouTube channel as well. So check it out.
Find him on YouTube. Find him on Facebook.
Yeah. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Justin Brock. And then, check us out, of course, in our Facebook community, Medicare Gurus.
And all your major podcast platforms.
Yep. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on all of it. Want to get this information out there to keep you guys motivated. We know it's very difficult to remain motivated in this racket as insurance world, but it's well worth it if you can stay the course. So let us know if you're having trouble staying the course, or leave us a comment, leave us a review. Please subscribe or follow the podcast. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.